Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God.
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm Dr. Ed Weiner, and with me tonight are board members Gail Demore, Andrea Sheehan, Vice Chair David McSweeney, who is remote. Also here tonight is Susan Luminello, who is the Director of Public Health, Michael Green, who's Associate Director of Public Health, Environmental Engineer Christine Mathis, and Recording Secretary Ms. Julie Falkingham. Please note that we are live on and will be taped by BCAT and available for appropriate comments and questions through this video technology. And thank you for BCAT for what you do for this community, keeping us all aware and so well informed. First, we have approval of minutes for December 12th of 2023. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion to approve by Gail Demore, second by Andrea Sheehan. All in favor. Now, I have to do a roll call this evening because we have a remote person.
Excuse me.
Gail Demore,
Aye.
Andrea Sheehan,
Aye.
David McSweeney, who is remote. Aye. So I guess it's 4-0-0, how it is even with the remote. Okay. Next is citizens' time. Is there anybody here who is not here for an agenda item who would like to speak to this board? Everybody's okay for agenda item? Okay, thank you. Chairman's report. In lieu of a chairman's report this evening, I want to take a moment of silence for a true American and someone whose commitment to our town will be felt for many years. Mr. Al Fay, Mr. Burlington, passed away a few days ago. He served as a community leader for decades, a Burlington firefighter, selectman, member of our planning board, and founder and host of so many towns' programs and traditions. Please join me right now for a moment of silence. Thank you very much. There are no subcommittee meetings or subcommittee reports this evening. If not, I'll go on to hearings. 15 County Road permit violation, keeping of hens, keeping of animals, which are hens. And who is going to present this from the board?
I can.
Ms. Sue Luminello, the Director of Public Health.
The permit holder can come up, Ms. Sueli Aragio. So, as you may recall, she was here at, I believe it was the last Board of Health meeting, and there was discussion regarding, she was looking for a chicken permit for 6 chickens, and the board had made the decision to grant the permit with the contingency that 2 chickens were allowed, and she could come back in June for permit renewal to get the permit for 6 chickens. So also during that discussion, the board stipulated that if there was any complaints or concerns before June, that we would ask her to come back before the board. So we did receive a complaint from a neighbor saying that she had more than 2 chickens. Mike Green went out and inspected that complaint and did view the other 2 chickens. So at the time she had 4 chickens in the pen, and shortly thereafter Marlene Johnson did an inspection and the chickens were no longer there. So I'll let Ms. Arago talk a little bit about what happened, what the issue was.
Could you please sit in that chair and speak into the microphone? Because there are some people who are on remote, please.
Okay.
And would you please sign in? Please print your name. Please, I want to make sure I pronounce Agario?
It's Aragon, but it's more easy for Arago. Everybody call Arago because it's Aragon.
Agago.
Aragon.
Agago, okay. Thank you, I'm sorry. Please, go ahead.
So, Mr. Grimm sent me an email on the 26th saying like he had in my neighbor property and observed like I have more chicken in my coop, which was true. I called right away for him and I explained the situation. So I have my 2 chickens and I have a friend, Natalia. Sorry, I'm a little bit nervous about this. I feel like I want to cry. Natalia Cook, she lives in Florida, and she sent, I told Natalia what happened to my chicken because she have a chicken in Florida too, so. And she sent me 3 chickens, like, as a gift by the Christmas time, and I didn't know that. Someone drove from Florida to here and just dropped in my house. So I told the person I could like take the chickens, but because Natalia didn't know what happened here about like the 2 chickens. And so Maria, she could take the chicken with her because she told me she had no place to put the chicken. So I put the chickens in my coop on, this was on Saturday. I took the chickens, actually it was not only 2, it was 3 and 1 was a rooster. I took the chickens, I put in my coop, and I start to re-roam the chickens. But my neighbors, they were watch me like 24/7, and even before like I, re-roam all the chickens, they already called the city hall to report me. This is what happened. This was the weekend. 25 was Christmas. On the 26th, I already have Mr. Grimm send me the email about it. I called right away and I explained to him what happened.
Okay, thank you. So how long did you have the rooster and the hens, the extra ones?
That was like for 3 days, 3-4 days.
Okay.
It was just a time to, one, I sent on, I find the place right away. And the other 2, the people came from Greenfield to take the other 2. So actually I beat them and they just, I was so like, sorry, I'm just like very upset about the situation. And I just like, I drove like, a certain way and they took the chickens. And then I called Marlene and I asked, please, can you come and make an inspection in my property to see like, the chicken was not here?
Sam, so you have 2 hens now
I have 2 hens
That's it?
and my ducks.
And-
But the ducks was there because it's my pet.
Okay.
But also, during the inspection, you did let Marlene know that she
Yeah.
had ordered some chickens prior to the Board of Health date. And she gave me the paperwork here, which is, I can pass on to the board, but it looks like she ordered 10
Yeah, they died, so.
on December 6th, and after they were delivered the day after the Board of Health meeting, which is December 13th. So how many lived out of the 10?
I have a 5, and the one I already give away, but they are little. They need to stay like, in an incubator, like for almost 2 months.
So currently now they're in an I guess the 5, or is it 5 in the
Yeah.
incubator? 5 are in the incubator in the home. And these chickens at some point are gonna have to come out of the incubator and come outside. And usually that's around when they become from a baby chick to a pullet, which takes somewhere between 12 to 15 weeks of age. And then when they become the pullet, that's when they need to come out of the incubator and go into the coop, because that's when about the time that they start laying eggs. So that is gonna be before June, before her permit renewal.
So I wanted to explain that situation because I had no problem. I asked about how the work, the permits and everything for, not Marlene, the other girl, Samantha. And so the coyotes was eating like, they eat almost all of my chickens. And so before everything, like, when I first started here, try to get my permit, and I told like Samantha, I'm gonna order like another chicken, comes chicks. So by the spring, they're gonna be able to go outside. And so she said like, okay, because they're gonna be inside the house till they grow, to go outside. And so we have the meet on the 12th, and I did on the on the 6th, I ordered the chicks. So the 12th, we had the meeting, and with everything happens, I was allowed only for 2 chickens. And I called, the next day I called Samantha, and I told Samantha, hey Samantha, I already have the order I did, and she asked me, can you cancel? And it was too late, because on the 13th, they were gonna, they already send, and the next day they already send, I give the paper, they just ship the chickens, and the chicks. I was not able to just cancel the order. And so they are in the house now. I didn't mention here because I didn't haven't received them till then.
So does anybody have any more questions for her? Do you have any questions, Gail? So you have 2 chickens now.
Yeah.
The chickens inside, the chicks don't count because they're inside in the house in an incubator. Is that correct? That's what
Yes.
was my understanding. When the chickens become of age and they go outside, then they would be part of the chicken, is it flock?
Yes.
I guess it's the flock. The chicken flock. So I guess the problem you have right now is, first, you can't put those chickens outside because you have to wait until June, you come before us in June, the first meeting in June, correct?
In June, they're gonna be so big.
They can't, the issue is it's not, they can't stay inside when they're that big. They have to be out in the coop.
They have to be out in the coop.
At a certain point, they can't stay in the incubator, and they have to be in the coop.
So,
In my incubator,
I don't know.
is
yeah, I don't know what you're gonna what you can do, because this board was heard from your neighbors, the board heard from your neighbors. There were some people who did not want you to have any permit, and we allowed you 2 chickens.
Almost as a trial.
As a trial, and now we have to deal with more than 6 chickens, because she has 5 plus 2 is 7.
No,
No,
she
I'm
has
gonna,
4.
yeah,
You're 4 or 5?
yeah, I'm gonna give one away.
So she
has 5 now.
So she has, I can count 5 plus 2. I know I'm a PhD, but 5 plus 2.
Mental math is not.
Sir,
So I don't know what you're gonna do, because,
can I express my feelings about all this situation, please?
I just want to see if anybody else you want to speak, and then I'll give you your time, okay?
Okay.
Is there anybody here who is here to speak on this at all? Please come up, sir, and you can, and I'll let you come back up, please. I want you. You're welcome.
Can you print your name, please?
Yep.
Yeah, please print it, and your name, please.
My name's Ashton Hazy. I wasn't at the prior meeting, but my wife was.
I'm sorry, slowly,
Sorry, Ashton Hazy,
A-Z-I?
Haase.
H-A-A.
S-E.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Are you in a butter?
I'm a butter. So like I said, my wife was present at the prior meeting where I know she had shared some of our feedback in terms of things we had observed being next door property members. So I was the one who made the complaint when I noticed that there were more than 2 chickens. I had an opportunity to rewatch the prior hearing and saw that it was pretty strict that they were to abide by that. Mr. Green came out to my house and was able to observe what I was able to see and validate that that was the case. I guess my concern is, you know, if they were going to knowingly accept these chickens, you know, maybe if they had called and said, hey, I don't know if they truly had the intent of going back to 2. I think if they could have called the board and said, hey, this happened, here's our situation, we're gonna need some time to rectify it, that maybe would have made me feel a little better about the situation. I'd also add that when they did add these, it was very obvious that they clearly added some plywood to the edge of the coop, which in my mind was done to conceal the fact that they were probably not complying with the order that was given to them. So I know my wife at the prior meeting raised some other concerns based on what the town guidelines are and how they hadn't really been following those. So that, I mean, personally, I think we'd like to see them not allowed to have the chickens because, I mean, there was clear guidelines given to them at the prior meeting.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yep.
Is there anybody else who'd like to
Mr. Chair,
speak?
Mr. Chair, can I just ask a question?
Please,
About her?
please.
Sure.
Yeah, I was just curious, Mr. Hazy, did I say that correctly? I apologize.
Yep, that's close enough.
Were there other issues other than that they had 4 chickens? Like, was there a nuisance? Were they run
I mean,
free?
no, but I mean,
Anything else? I mean, I know you and your wife really don't want the chickens there, but I'm just trying to understand what the complaint is about. Is it just that they had 2 extra chickens that you noticed, or was there a bigger nuisance or complaint that you had?
no, we hadn't observed any other instances of non-compliance with anything. I mean, it'd been less than 2 weeks since the order had been given, right? So, no, nothing else.
Okay, great. And Michael or Susan, again, I think we talked a little bit about it at the last meeting. Do we feel that the chicken coop, the pen, is adequate? And also, how big is the coop? Can it hold? How many chickens can it hold? Or is it adequate for?
Yeah, so as we discussed at the last meeting, they thought they were gonna have more than the 6 chickens, so the coop is actually holds more than 6 chickens. I think it can hold something like up to, 18 chickens? 18 chickens it can hold, so it's a pretty big coop. And I think that was discussed a little bit at the last meeting.
And doesn't that have to go before the planning board? If it goes over
Oh,
that?
it's not this, no, it's the number of
The structure.
chickens
So if
for the
eight-
planning
if
board,
18
so
goes-
more than 6.
6
So
have
if
to
they
go.
had 7, that would need to go before the planning board for a special permit, and then they would be looking at things like
And that was talking about the structure of the coop itself.
Yeah, just I'm concerned about the quality of the structure. Like, I feel like we've inspected it a few times and we're okay with the quality of the coop.
Yeah, it meets the minimum standards for, for our standards for the keeping of the chickens.
And was the plywood put, well, I guess I should ask the owner.
Yeah,
The plywood, I think, was put as a deterrent for letting the chickens out. We talked about it last.
So sorry to interject, but
So I have one,
Sure.
questions for the abutter, and then we'll have the approach. Do we have any questions for her? Because
You just need a comment about the plywood being up.
yeah, so the coop had already gone through and you had the prior meeting. On the day that the additional chickens arrived, it was noticeable that there was a piece of plywood placed up on the edge on the outside exterior of the coop, which in my opinion was probably done to conceal the fact that, so again, I know they've said they had the intent to go back to 2. Unfortunately, no one can prove intent, but the facts are they did violate the guidelines that were given at the prior meeting.
please remind the board, what is your objection to the chickens? What is your major concern? I just want to make sure
I
everybody...
guess our
understands.
concern is we've seen repeated violations of the town ordinances as it relates to the keeping of chickens, right? They moved in initially. I would have expected that a permit be required before you show up with chickens. They showed up with 16, right? Not only did they not have the permit for 6 or less from this board, but there should have been a planning board permit, which I'm assuming is a lengthier process than just this meeting here today. Secondly, I think we shared that we had observed on multiple instances of free-roaming chickens in their yard. Only 50% of the yard is fenced in. Of the 50% that is, a third of that fence is deteriorating and has fallen down. So that's why the coyotes were able to get in, right? So there's just been multiple instances of non-compliance with the board's director from the last meeting, and prior to that, just the town ordinances altogether. And now we hear they've had a rooster on the site. The town ordinance is very clear that there's no roosters in the town permitted. So I mean, it's just, how many violations can there be before we start to just say that the right to have the chickens needs to go away?
Thank you. Anybody else have any questions? Thank you. Ms. Agago? Please. Did I say it right?
Yeah.
Thank you. Please. You wanted to say something else before?
Yeah, so the chicken coop, when I first came in Burlington town, before I moved in, I came to figure out about the chickens and everything. So I learned I need like a permit for 6 chickens, and I'm gonna need a special permit for more of 6 chickens. So I was moved in, and I spoke to Samantha about, like, my chickens. I told Samantha I have 18 chickens and that they are not gonna move now, but I wanted to take the permit. And for the special permit, it was gonna take more time. So I asked Samantha, let me apply for the 6 chickens, like for the permit for the 6 chickens, but she wrote, I think, like about how many chick it was, and she wrote like I was going to get like the special permit because I had like 18 chickens. The chickens was the last like thing I bring here because we were like building the chicken coop. And my chicken coop, it's big because Samantha gave me the measures to just have the 18 chickens, the size of the chicken coop. This was the reason my chicken coop is too big. I didn't expect to just end up in 2 chickens. And I explained everything before I moved in. At this point, I actually feel like this is like about my neighbors has nothing to do about the chickens. So I feel like they have been watch us all the time since when we moved to the house. The chicken was not there. And so I thought it was just like curiosity because, it's a new neighbors, we move in, we have children. They never said like a word to me. Then I have a problem with the chicken coop here on the 12, which I didn't like. For me, it was like, I didn't know I knew like they complain about what happened to my chickens when the coyotes eat my chickens. I knew they complain about it, but they never like walk to my house and say, hey, was you like, your chickens make a lot of noise, you were not happy about the chickens, what you pretend to do. They never talk a word to us. The first thing they did was complain about the noise, and I believe it was a big noise because it was like 16 chickens. And I had no chance to apologize because they never talked to me about it. They come straight to the city hall. And now I'm 100% sure they chase after us, because for the person take a time to just observe my chicken coop, which is not front to the yard, but it's sided. And we didn't put like any plywood. We just put like pallet, because we were gonna make like my duck stuff, and we put like a pallet on the side of the chicken. So we didn't put a plywood, as this gentleman said. I think that all the problem, I talked to my other neighbors this week, and they don't want to get involved, but they have nothing like about my chicken coop. You know, they just expect like to get some eggs when I have a chicken. This is all they told me. I walk like my left neighbor, my right neighbor, my neighbors from the front, and they don't have any complaints about it. Even my neighbor from my left side, which is like much closer like to my chicken coop, he had no complaint at all. Those people, they have like their property, it's all like they have a fence to the whole property. Even if the property where I mean, do you mind to give me some water? I'm sorry, but can I?
Yeah, there is a water fountain.
Yeah, it's just because
Hey, I understand, so let's just take it from here. Why don't you get some water?
okay.
We'll wait.
Yeah, the only thing I want to say, like, they have everything fenced. Even if, like, the property where I'm now is not, don't have, like, a proper fence, they don't have nothing to worry about, because they have, like, a 4 feet fence.
So,
I need,
okay, we'll wait for you.
If you go right that way. It's by the bathroom.
Yes. Wait a minute. So we are faced with this, and I think that I'll check with my professional staff. We can, since at this point in time, at least she is on, Ms. Agago is in compliance. There are 2 outside chickens, correct? They're in compliance right now.
As of now, yeah.
As of now. She has chickens inside, but we can't count those chickens towards the permit that we have. She has a permit for 2 chickens. So the board then can do one of 3 things. They can, 1, do nothing, and we can just continue this and see what happens in June the 6th as is written within the permit. The second thing too, we could revoke the permit and totally, is you have to get rid of all the chickens, or we can approve 6 chickens. I think that would be the 3 options that we have. So I would like to ask my board, of those 3, since she is in compliance now, what you would like to do? I have my own thoughts, which I will. Any of you 3? Any of you 4, I'm sorry. Mr. McSweeney is remote.
I feel the order
Yeah,
that
Mr.
was.
Chair? Okay.
Go ahead, Dave.
So, the whole thing makes me frustrated, right? I think we try to address the neighbors' concerns. We limited the number of chickens. And just to clarify, because the abutter made a couple of comments about them moving to town, and just so it's clear, like, they did contact the Board of Health before they moved to town and realized what the qualifications were for holding and keeping of chickens, and they did move forward to the next board meeting to get those approved. So like, I just want to make sure it's clear that there was no violations, and we talked through that in the last board meeting ahead of, and they did everything they could to meet the qualifications before they got the permit.
But I do think we try to address the abutters' concerns at the last meeting, in kind of putting them in a quote-unquote probationary period because we knew the permit was being renewed in June, asked them to come back and doing it on a trial basis, and we would watch them. I still feel that I would like to keep going with that. But I'm also frustrated with the permit holder. I mean, we were clear that they had a permit for 2 chickens. I don't care, what happens. They can't take more than 2 chickens. They shouldn't have accepted them. And I realize the delivery was already on order and on its way, but maybe they should have been more clear with that was coming ahead of the board meeting, so we could have addressed it maybe ahead of them, during the probationary period. But that being said, I still don't feel like there's a nuisance here. They addressed the 4 chickens. I do think that we hold firm, at least my opinion, with the permit for 2 chickens. It's only for another 5 months. But I do feel that it's 2 chickens. They need to do something with those other 5 chickens. First of all, they can't have 5 chickens even if we grant them the full permit up to 6 chickens. And secondly, I do think they need to find a home, and we stick with the 2 chickens until the June timeline. That would be my recommendation.
Thank you.
Mr. Moore, Ms. Jane?
I was going to say similar to David. I think we hold the order that's in place today. I am concerned that those chickens, as little as they are going to be in that coop long before the probation period. So it's almost like, I think they'll be out there in March, just
Yeah,
because
they're
they
gonna
grow
be-
so fast. So I know it's a concern, but I do think that that's really not a long probationary period, which was, given all of the facts that we heard, like they are able to get into the neighbor's yard through the front of the property. There was coyotes, there's safety for their children, there was concern. So I do think we should just keep on with the order and continue with the probationary period till June.
Mr. Moore?
I agree in regards to the fact of the keeping of the 2 chickens and that it is probationary, so we'll have to figure something out going forward with
Well, the proponent will have to figure something out going forward.
Right.
Yeah, we won't. Do I need a motion just to continue this, or we can just say, let's move on to the next order of business?
Yeah, I mean, you don't need to continue it if you're gonna keep it as is, no action, although, I suppose you do need to make it clear that she's going to have to rehome or do something with the 5 chickens that are now in the incubator.
We're not gonna,
because-
I think it's very clear that all 4, and I agree with my colleagues here, that we continue with the probationary period. We are not gonna take away your permit.
Okay.
We're not gonna, we can't approve 6 chickens right now.
Okay, I just have a question, because since the last meeting, I was a little bit scared because I never have been in a board of health before. I'm in probation for what?
They
What
no,
I
no,
did?
you're not you are not up on the patient, please. Your permit to have chickens says that it's 2 chickens, and it's and if it works out fine by June
You said by renewal time. so
by
that's in
renewal
June.
time, was June the 6th, is that correct?
I think the renewal, for the new permits come in effect July 1st.
July 1st. Until then, you're gonna have to have 2 chickens. If everything goes well, then you can come back and ask for more chickens,
Okay,
okay? But we're just gonna leave everything right now as is, and you are allowed to have 2 chickens outside, as we talked about last meeting, and, and no free roaming. I think that you had all of the.
they are like, complete like,
like whatever stipulations were in
Septi-
the permit last time are
yeah,
gonna
no,
stay.
that was just when I was building the chicken, and under
And you
supervision.
put the wood, yeah.
And and why we say probationary, because if the chickens are causing a nuisance, then we're going to not allow you to have any chickens. So that's why it's probationary. So now you are allowed to have 2 chickens outside, just as we talked about last meeting. That's it.
Can, So as she told me, I have like the chicks inside. Can you guys reconsider like maybe come early to ask for to not have to reroam my little ones, which is gonna be with me till like spring?
I think that your permit allows you to have 2 chickens, correct?
No, this was gonna be like till like probably like April, right?
So are you saying you wanna come back in April to see if?
If you
so
guys
want
can
them to, so she, I think
allow
what
me to.
she's saying is.
Can
I
she
come-
reapply in April?
Can she come back in April instead of June? I think that's what she's saying.
Well, I think I need to go back and look at the order from last time. I think the order was for the 1st of June.
Well, last time you granted the permit for 2 chickens
Correct.
with, you know, for now. So, I mean, you can change the that condition on the permit, or you can keep it as is. Now, you had said, well, in June, come back and maybe we'll change it to allow for the 6 condition instead of the 2 for July 1st. So I think what she's saying is, can I come back before June and have that discussion then?
To not
Instead of
have
re-
like to reroam like the chicks I
Instead of-
have inside the house now.
Instead of rehoming, is that what she's?
Yeah.
So she's asking if, I guess, if she could do it earlier than June, but I think what you were saying is, I think what they're saying is that they're not gonna agree to that.
I'm not going to agree to that because we came to an agreement last meeting. I think we're all on the same
You
page.
knew these were on order, correct?
Oh, but this was like, the chickens was before, like, the first meeting.
But you didn't have a permit before the first meeting for any
Yeah,
chickens.
like I was saying, I wish we knew about it. I wish you were candid about that.
Because maybe we could have addressed it at the last meeting.
Yeah, I was gonna like, Samantha told me to cancel, but you know, the next day I have a proof, I bring the proof, like the
Maybe
next day that was they cheaper.
Till we get through the
The next.
period
time.
that we agreed to. We all agreed at the last meeting that we would wait until the 1st of June to see what was going on. Because you do have abutters who were not happy with you. Happy with any chickens, not with you, but
No, it's
With
with
the
me and my
situation
family.
of I think it's the situation the chickens brought to the neighborhood.
Yeah,
so,
but it's not a chicken. But thank you very much, I appreciate, I know you guys just do the best you can. This have to, you know, I need to readdress like all this concern, and probably in June, I'm not gonna have my neighbors here harass me again.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, we can move on. Which,
You have to res-
I'm sorry?
you have to resend her.
In June.
Okay.
In June, when she's gonna reapply for a permit. All the permits expire.
Everything just stays the way it
It
is.
says,
Yeah, we'll have her come back in June.
okay, brings us to 11 Middlesex,
111.
I'm sorry, 111 Middlesex Turnpike status report of nuisance condition.
I just made a comment that she just said I went to the lawyer for harassment.
I'm sorry?
What did you say, sir?
She just made a comment to me that she's I'm gonna be hearing from the lawyer for harassment. I mean,
Thank you. Now, Mr. Vaughn, you are representing Brixmore?
I am, yes,
Do
Mr.
you know
Chairman.
that you need to go before the planning board for more than 6 chickens?
I am well aware of that now.
Okay,
so,
thank you.
Yeah,
Everyone's clear.
I appreciate you pointing that out, and it's duly noted. So, going to start? Or?
Please,
All right.
please.
So, good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board participating remotely here. Happy New Year, first off. Pleased to be before you tonight for property at 111 Middlesex Turnpike. I know that Board of Health staff wanted us to come in and provide a bit of an update here. So just kind of fast forwarding to today, as I think the board is aware, we did go through back in September an extensive.
Excuse me, Mr. Vaughn.
Yeah.
Mr. McSweeney, can you hear this? He says, okay, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I can't, thank you.
We did the stormwater basin cleaning project back in September of '23. I know we were, for a variety of reasons, we weren't able to do it back in the spring in terms of the state permitting, the relocation of the bridal shiner, endangered species, and the whole rigmarole there, but we were able to get all that done for September. Also did jetting of all the stormwater inlets from the parking area as well. So that cleaning was all done. And I guess suffice it to say that it didn't achieve the significant result and benefit that we were all hoping for in terms of that area of the parking lot not continuing to have the periodic flooding that it is having today. I know when we spoke to the board last time, we indicated that we're continuing to evaluate other potential solutions to the situation out there. And again, I mean, I don't want to get into, there's something happening that has caused the sustained elevated water levels in Vine Brook. And, you know, respectfully, we don't feel like it's a lack of maintenance or oversight at the site today. That's not saying that in years past, perhaps there wasn't the maintenance happening on the regular basis that it was supposed to, but today, it seems to be something else that's, you know, contributing to the issue. So as a result, I know that Brixmor did retain the firm of Kimley Horn, and we have a engineer, Caroline Armstrong, who's a professional engineer with Kimley Horn, that has been evaluating the site, trying to come up with a solution to the issue, to the problem. And as you might surmise, just given the fact that we've been here a few different times, it's not the easiest solution to address, right? So we're in a floodplain, we're right next to a brook, that being Vine Brook, so it's a tight site. But suffice it to say that they are evaluating a scenario, and I know John Keeley from the Conservation Commission is here as well, but where we would be able to elevate the grade of the parking area that's currently flooding over that portion of the site and perform some compensatory flood storage elsewhere on the property to make up for the increased fill, if you would, that would result from raising up that portion of the parking lot. So it is, you know, not the easiest kind of fix, but, you know, we think that we're onto something where hopefully we can show that it satisfies the requirements. So Caroline is here if you wanted to.
Before you go on,
Yeah.
Mr. Vaughn, I know we've said it's a nuisance condition. I'm not worried about the nuisance condition. I know it looks terrible. I know it's water. I'm worried about the safety of the situation. That's all. I have been very consistent. It's the safety. It's the safety. I called the Burlington Police Department.
Yep.
And they said it was not on their jurisdiction, but they did go out there and they did agree and they did call us to say that they thought that in terms of safety, there should be cones out there. Tonight, we're gonna get between 2 and 4 inches of water. If it freezes, I am worried that somebody is going to skid and somebody is going to get hurt. And that's all I care about.
Yeah.
I mean, if it looks terrible, it looks terrible in front of those very good stores. It's an issue of safety. And I just want Brixmor to know that, Brixmor, I'm sorry, property group, know that they've got to do something about the safety of the people who use that parking lot. And that's all I care about. I don't know, I can let any of my colleagues on the board speak about that, but for me, it's been very consistent. It's the safety. Tonight, it's gonna get 4 inches. It's gonna take over most of the parking lot. It's gonna freeze, and I'm afraid someone's gonna get hurt. And Ms. Armstrong, I point that out to you. And I have talked to other council, and there is a concern about that too.
So just so, Mark Newman, who is with Brixmor, is participating remotely.
And I'm not saying that Brixmor has not tried.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you haven't tried. I've been out there many times. In fact, their manager has seen me out there many times. But it's getting worse and worse and worse, and I'm just worried someone's gonna get hurt. Simple as that. I'm very concerned. Before.
I may ask a question and I'm not local, I haven't been to the property a little bit, but didn't we cone it off? Those parking spots that are in the flooded area?
Well, I have, it's your property.
Yeah, no, I see.
It's gone way over, way past the cordoning area, way
We're
past
gonna
the
have to
cordoning.
move the court, we're gonna have to move the cordon to your point.
Yeah, so
So-
the guardrails have been out there in the area where there's been the ponding, and I think what,
Water exceeds that, though.
And water exceeds that significantly now.
so I think that, you know, look, I mean, I think we've tried to be, not tried, but we have been responsive to concerns, the health concerns that have been raised in the past relative to that, whether, you know, during the summer months, I know it was not the freezing, obviously, but it was the mosquito control, geese police, and things of that nature. So we've really put a system in place to be responsive and address those. I think you raise a valid point that just to the extent that the area is going to freeze, we need to, you know, take proper precaution and, you know, mark that off, but, which we will, so.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Please, Mr. McSweeney.
So, yeah, hey, Mark, happy
Hey.
New Year to you too.
Thanks for coming and thanks for providing the update. As you know, I've been very vocal over this issue in the past. And Ed, I'm with you. Like the primary goal is to eliminate any safety issues for sure. But also it is a nuisance, right? And I keep on saying like we should have pride in the town and make sure that our corporate community is taking pride as our residents take pride in this town. And it is a terrible eyesore, and it is getting worse. My only concern is, well, I have a lot of concerns, but you know, my primary concern is we're taking very slow steps. Like we've been talking about this for a few years now, and the issue is getting continually worse. We've had several engineers hired by Brixmor over the past come out there. We tried the cleaning a few times, and I know this is not. This does not come at a no expense to Brixmor at all. So I realize that there is investment here, and I appreciate, you know, bringing on another engineer firm to take a look at it. But like, how long do you want us to keep going on with this before we have a resolution, or before somebody does get hurt, or before it becomes a pond out there, which it's pretty much a pond today? Like, I like, how long is this engineering firm going to take to analyze the situation and come back with a recommendation? And then how long is Brixmor going to take to?
They have a recommendation.
I'm sorry, I'm talking.
Wait,
But
I'm
how
sorry, I
long
thought you were done.
how long is it going to take for a recommendation? I'm glad to hear that there is one now. But how long is it going to take for Brixmor to act on it and fix the property?
Mr. McSweeney, may I respond?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Sorry. No, I wanted to know if you were finished.
Board chair.
Oh,
Yes, please respond.
Okay. So we just spent $125,000 doing this cleaning, right? It took, I believe, over a week to do. We had to remove the bridal shiner fish that were in the area. It was a pretty extensive undertaking. We then cleaned out all of the drainage inlets on our property. We've cordoned off the area. We've hired, I guess you call them the geese police. We've hired a hydrologist who put together an extensive study showing that this condition wasn't the fault of Brixmor, and coincided with when all of the pumps were turned off. We've hired another engineering firm now to come up with a plan that requires us to lift up a significant portion of the parking lot and then dig an excavation area somewhere else on our property to make up for that increase in cubic yardage that we're now picking up in order to get above the rising groundwater level. And we're doing all of this as if it's our fault, or as if we're the ones that are responsible for it. And
Nobody said it was your fault, by the
way.
way. Nobody said it was your
Excuse me,
fault, by
I'm
the
not
way,
finished.
in any meetings. I'm
sorry?
sorry, you're in front of this. You're in front of this board, aren't you, Mr. Newman?
I am.
Okay, thank you. I just want to clarify his statement. Nobody's ever, in fact, we were very clear that this was not Brixmore's fault, but we did say it was Brixmore's responsibility. And you are happily making a living in the town of Burlington. And I agree that it's expensive, and I just said it's expensive to you, but I'm sure you're making quite a good living in the town of Burlington.
Well, so Mr. McSweeney, my apologies if I came off snippy about this, but it actually appears to me from the sessions that I've sat in that we get admonished quite a lot about this. And I think that we've been trying to solve for it in a way that makes sense, where it at the end of the day, we're talking about a pretty extensive amount of work that we're going to have to do in order to fix it, when it looks as if the flooding occurred as soon as the town turned off all of the pumps. When all of the pumps were turned off, the groundwater level there rose, and you started to have a flooding condition on our property. We've now spent a lot of money to clean out that retention pond, and it's still flooding. So we know that it's not because of something that we're doing. And you're right. Let's not talk about the cause. Let's talk about the solution. We're working on a solution. We have an engineering firm that we've hired that's putting together a plan. They're happy to discuss the plan with you. It is still in its preliminary stages. We've been going back and forth with the municipality. They've had numerous conversations with the conservation chairman. And I'm not really sure what more we can do at this point other than come up with the plan and show it to you and pursue it.
Well, I think.
My only question to Mr. Vaughn
Yeah.
was how long was it going to take the plan to be finished, and how long was it going to take Brixmore to act on that plan? That was my only question, Mr. Newman.
Yeah.
We have the conservation director here this evening. Would you like to help us out? Thanks a lot. And thank you for coming. No problem. I really appreciate another expert.
Thank you. So I have
Your name.
John Keeley, Conservation Administrator, Town of Burlington. I've received a plan from Kimley Horn. It's a preliminary plan. And I suggested to them that they actually bring it to the next DCM, which is the Development Coordination meeting that we have with the department heads. So engineering will be there, Board of Health is there, building, planning, conservation, the department heads from all those boards. And we have a meeting 2 weeks from today, I believe. We had one today. So they're actually going to bring it in and float this design by the other department heads. But so the basic line, as they described, the property's in the floodplain. So if you fill the floodplain, which you would have to do to elevate the parking lot, you have to compensate 1-to-1 at each incremental elevation. So say the floodplain was 100 and their parking lot's at 99 and they want to bring it up, they have to compensate for that amount of fill at each incremental foot elevation. So it's a difficult task on a site that's so flat and so low. It's not like they have a high area that they can just take down. It's going to take some figuring out how to actually do that. So one of the other things that I've discussed with other department heads and haven't really discussed with the applicants or the engineer is whether or not they could actually lose some parking spaces as part of this process. They don't seem to have the use of a lot of their parking spaces now. So possibly some of that area doesn't have to be elevated, possibly just use that part of that area as their compensation area. So those are the sort of things we'll discuss at the PCM, I would imagine, in a couple of weeks.
And I appreciate John. I mean, I know he's been very accommodating in terms of communicating with Kimley Horn on the plans and the preliminary plans that have been developed, and look forward to talking through that at the next DCM meeting. As it relates to the parking, I mean, I think we've indicated before, and I appreciate that. It doesn't look like all the parking is being used out there today, and probably because a lot of the space is vacant out there today. So that whole area where I still call it Tower Records, right? But that section of the site is pretty much vacant. So, and the site is underparked from a zoning perspective, actually, already. So, we would not be able to lose parking without making the site more non-compliant with zoning. So our desire would be obviously not to lose parking, but be able to come up with a way to be able to, fill that and perform the compensatory flood storage in a manner that satisfies the town and whoever's reviewing it. But certainly we'll continue to talk about it. But
Ms. Armstrong, you came all the way in this terrible weather. I'm going to acknowledge you. Please, do you have anything to say?
Of course.
And please sign in. And thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. Hi, my name is Caroline Armstrong. I am,
Put your name, please.
oh, absolutely. My name is Caroline Armstrong. I am a professional engineer registered in the state of Massachusetts. I'm here with Kimley Horn and Associates, also representing with Brixmor. Everyone has already mentioned a lot of the big topics. The biggest one that I can personally have expertise and mention on is, along with what John Keeley has said and everyone else, is that our plan to raise the parking lot to get rid of the flooding or to mitigate the flooding does mean that we do have to provide compensatory storage somewhere else. Right now, the current plan that we have does not include a reduction in parking in any way, shape, or form. And so that is the plan that we're moving forward with us this time. It is still very complicated. It is still a flat site. This makes it a little bit flatter, but it does still have drainage. So those are some kinks that we're working out, because ultimately we want this to be done and we want this to be done right. So that's what we're working through right now.
Thank you.
So-
I have one more comment. I know that this might satisfy everybody so far that something is moving. First of all, I would assume, Mr. Vaughn, that the Board of Health will be at that planning meeting coming up. Do you usually go? Will you?
Christine usually goes. Yeah, I can go.
Maybe would you also attend and report back to the board? Again, what are we gonna do? It's January the 9th. If it freezes and I urge the management, and I'm sorry, your name, please? Mr.
I think it's Newman.
It's Mark Newman.
Mr. Newman. Mr. Newman, I know you haven't seen it. It is not cordoned off.
It is.
It's completely?
If you look at the second set of pictures, there's,
Well, the Jersey barrier.
there's.
The Jersey
No,
barrier.
In addition to the Jersey barriers, there's cones and drums.
Okay, cones and drums.
Yeah, there's orange cones and drums.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then,
So we did get I know at your prior meeting, I think you had indicated that
Yeah, I
there was
was out there
discussion
and you
with the.
hadn't done this so far, when I
Yeah.
inspected it a few weeks ago. Okay, I just want you to understand, and I have been consistent, it's a safety issue. Whether it takes a year to 2 years to go, I don't want anyone hurt. You are put on notice that that's what our concern is, my concern.
And neither do we.
So here we are, we're report. In 2 weeks, we will have a meeting of the
Development coordination meeting.
DCM meeting. We're going to have two members of our leadership going and to come back and to give us a report back to see what the town and what Brixmor is planning to do. And I just think that at some point in the near future, you should come back and at least, when you come up with your preliminary design, come back and speak to the board.
So, do you want me to, is there a time frame on that? And then also too, I just wanted to make you aware that Brian White, Superintendent of Public Works, is also on the line.
Oh, Brian, would you please comment? Is there anything to add? I'm sorry. Thank you for joining us. I'm just getting ready to recognize you, and I'm sorry. We've only met once.
So I know, I haven't been involved with this issue for really at all. This is my first involvement in it. So, I might not be privy to some of the past documents that were submitted, but if there's anything that the property owner would like to share, I mean, Tom Hayes, the town engineer, has done a lot of investigative work on this. We have aerial images dating back to 2005 that show us there. So what I think I can confidently say is that I don't think it, for a number of years, for way longer before we shut the pumps off, there's been a puddle there. But if there's more specific information or data that the property owner would like to submit, I'd be happy to review it and take a look at it.
It's very close to the DPW new headquarters.
In the next couple of weeks, if you could just take walk and just go see what we're talking about. Your predecessor and I had been out there many, many times, but I would appreciate, you have a tremendous resume. I've seen it, tremendous. Could you just kind of take a walk over there and take a look? I think that you could add something to this mix.
Yeah, and if I could comment, I don't think we dispute the notion that there was periodic flooding there in the past, perhaps, prior to the wells being turned off. But from what I've been told, it would dissipate very quickly. Like it'd be like a heavy rain event, and you might see some ponding there, but then it would recede. But now it doesn't recede, so that's the conundrum, I guess. But
I do think, Mr. Chair, that we have a good path forward. Ms. Armstrong, thanks for coming and presenting for 3 minutes. Hopefully, you didn't
Travel too far. But I do think that that's a viable plan, and that the meeting is taking place in a couple of weeks. I do think maybe, well, we'll get an update from the staff after that, but maybe we do have Mr. Vaughn come back at some point in time and talk about, obviously this is going to be a lengthy remediation process. So maybe once we have an understanding of what is going to happen and when it's going to happen, they can come back and talk to us.
Mr. Vaughn, do you think you'd come back to the second meeting in April? I think that's fair enough.
yeah, no, that's fine. Yeah, and look, I mean, I think our feeling would be, and Mark, correct me if I'm wrong, but if we can come up with a plan that is going to pass muster with the town and the regulatory authorities, the intent would be to proceed with that, Mark, with due haste, I would imagine, right?
It would, yes.
Okay. Ms. Hugh.
So what that would entail would be, once they have a plan, they would need to file a notice of intent with the Conservation Commission. The Conservation Commission would have hearings. Presumably, they would either file some sort of site plan amendment or site plan, I would imagine, with the planning board. So they'll be back before you as part of the planning board site plan. Is there a current site plan there? So
There is,
so
yeah.
it would be
It's
site plan amendment, most likely.
Yeah.
So those hearings, it's hard to address Mr. McSweeney's question about the timeline. It'll go before these boards, and they'll probably dictate that timeline.
Well, does the board want then at least an update from Mr. Vaughn sometime in 4 months, 5 months?
Yeah, probably April too soon, Mr. Chair. Maybe June timeframe or something.
Okay, first meeting in June, would that be?
There's only one meeting in June.
The one meeting in June?
One meeting in June, you're back with the chickens.
Great.
Okay, so I think we should continue this to the meeting that we will be taking, the one meeting in June.
June 25th.
June 25th.
Okay.
Which is about 6 months, a little less than 6 months. I think that's fair enough.
Sounds fine, yep.
Mr. Newman, would that be okay with you?
That'd be fine, thank you.
Okay. Do I have a motion to continue this until June 25th?
Motion to continue.
I have a motion from Ms. Sheehan, second by Ms. Demore. All in favor? Aye. I got to do rundown. I got to do Ms. Demore,
Aye.
Ms. Sheehan,
Aye.
Mr. McSweeney.
Aye, but Mark, can you just make sure that if they need to move the Jersey barriers or markers around?
Yeah,
To cordon off, that'll be great. But aye.
Yeah, that's right. And I vote aye, that's 4-0-0. I think that Mr. Newman heard me.
I think Mr. Vaughn heard me, Ms. Armstrong heard me. Please go out there and make sure it's safe.
We will, and I think you heard from Mary Hollaback. I think she got on the phone. I can't tell because I'm calling in remotely. I know she was homesick. She's our property manager, and I'm going to make sure if she wasn't on this call because she was homesick, I'm going to make sure that we reach out to her and to our property management and make sure that, they're on top of the rain condition tonight. Okay?
Mr. Newman, where are you located?
New York.
Well, why don't you come to Massachusetts and take a look sometime?
No, I don't, please don't misinterpret what I said. I've been to the site. I've seen the flooding numerous times. The only thing I was saying is that there was an insinuation that we weren't doing anything. And we've been, in September, we did a big dredging. and now we are going forward with what is a fairly complicated plan. So we're working on solving it. We want to solve it as soon as possible.
Yeah, and if I implied that in my tone, I apologize. I did not insinuate you weren't doing anything. I was just trying to understand the timeline of the remediation, that's all.
Okay, I think that's where we are. Mr. Keeley, thank you for coming. And I appreciate it. And thank you very much for the DPW, Director of DPW to come also. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Happy New Year. All right. Which brings us to the discussion of the Board of Health 2025 budget.
Yes, so I've included in your backup materials the budget cover sheet that goes to Ways and Means, as well as the actual budget itself. Everything has been level funded. We've had a 0% increase on the total accommodated accounts, and then the operating budget at 3.63% increase, which is mainly due to obligations under salary requirements. So everything else, like I said, has been level funded. If you look at the cover sheet, we've received a lot of grant money because of the Triton, the PHE grant, and also because of the tobacco grant, and then we've had other grants going on, the grants from the MRC. We got money from the MRC RISE grant from NACCHO, $20,000 from for the TAG grant under DEP, and Marlene's grant from NEHA. So we're going to continue and with those grants, and those are also we're expected to get those in fiscal year 25 as well. So I think that's it. I don't know if you have any questions, but really it's basically nothing has changed. As far as household hazardous waste goes, we've remained on budget for this year, so I don't think that's something that we're going to have to increase. I wouldn't want to see that decrease at all, but I think level funding that we'll be just fine next year. And also, one other thing with that is that we, since the police department removed their Sharps kiosk, we are getting more frequent pickups from our Sharps kiosk in the fire department. But Christine did a lot of research and found a company that is much more affordable. So we switched the contract to them. So I think going forward, even though we have more pickups, it's still not going to increase our budget at all.
Any questions? Can I have?
I just have, I'm sorry.
Please go ahead. I asked for questions.
Yeah,
So it looks great, Susan. Thank you. The only question I have is really, it's really not even about the budget, but I guess it is sort of. But just we have so many inspections, right? With restaurants, pools, everything like we do, and we do a phenomenal job with it. I just look to Marlene and Sam. Like, do we have enough staff there, and/or do we need to increase maybe some contractor expense to make sure that we're doing the outstanding job that we historically have done?
No, I mean, we're able to do the number of inspections that we need to do between Arlene and Sam. And so I don't think that there is a need for any kind of subcontractor. If something did happen, say, I don't know, both Marlene and Sam not able to come to work for a while, we do have a subcontracting line item in our budget. So in a pinch, we could use that, as well as use the inspector from the shared services grant as like a backup. So
Okay.
I don't think, I feel really comfortable in that, if something did happen, that we would be able to get through it okay. That's a good question, because that is something that, I am kind of always looking at,
Yeah.
but we're
I'm
always.
assuming, I'm assuming like there was a net positive increase in food establishments in 2023, but I don't even know if we know the answer to that. That we
Yeah,
have
I
to
mean,
now
that's not
come
like
from.
a number that I've kind of, that I've looked at, but what I've noticed over the years is, you will see new restaurants are coming in, them going out. So you see some coming in, some going out, and over time, it has increased, and when we got Sam, that's why we did ask for that
Right,
position.
I remember that.
Yeah, because we did have some subcontractors doing the inspections on that, but not only that, we may have had the same amount of restaurants, but there's more complex processes going on now, and then, and more things to look at, and so that's why it was better to have somebody in-house on staff doing those types of inspections rather than using subcontractors, so that has worked out really well for us, and I'm glad that we don't, we're not using the subcontractors like many health departments have to do. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that was the only question, just to make sure that we're covered there, but if not concerned, that's awesome. Thank you.
Do I have a motion to approve the FY 2025 Board of Health budget?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve by Ms. Sheehan, second
Second.
by Ms. Demore. All in favor? I have to go through this. Ms. Demore?
Aye.
Ms. Sheehan?
Aye.
Ms. McSweeney?
Aye.
And I vote aye, 400. Thank you very much. Which takes us now to our staff reports. Environmental engineer. Christine, do you have anything that you'd like to point out?
Just the biological safety permit renewals are underway. The renewal applications are due at the end of this month. And everybody is renewing except one company. They're still here, they're just not doing the work that was covered under the biological safety permit for the time being. And we do have a new company seeking a biological safety permit coming up soon, Practical Health.
Okay.
And that's it, any questions?
Any questions? I have one question for Fox Hill, High Pine, Nevada Road, stormwater. What's going on? Same old?
So, Nevada, I investigated the complaint, but there was no evidence of any sump pump discharge. There was no hose, no pipe, no discharge point, nothing, so close that one out. High Pine, also didn't appear to be a sump pump discharge. It just appeared to be naturally leaching out of the side of a hillside. So we can stop that. Fox Hill is repeat offenses, and they were issued 2 order letters with 2 fines, and both fines have been paid.
And when, was it the same situation that we've had?
Yes.
So there's, so in terms of that, he just keeps paying?
Yeah.
What is the
Is
fine
there
amount?
any communication with them at all? Like, Ned, I think you talked to them last year. if I'm
Yeah,
not
I
mistaken.
did. I spoke to him, I spoke to him. I had a very nice talk with him. He's very cordial, very nice talk. I just asked him, is there anything else that I thought was terrible, that we had to keep finding him, to just do something about it? And I left it at that. And if you're watching, you're a very nice gentleman. You're a very cordial, very nice gentleman. And if you want to continue to pay our salaries on fines, I guess that's your prerogative, right?
Yeah, just, I mean, there's gotta be something we can do to help them.
I gave it,
He's gonna, I know
He needs to want to be helped, I guess, right? So,
I guess,
I tend to feel that way.
Just needs to turn the hose.
yeah, I gave
to the
him,
property.
I had spoken at the time to the DPW, as you remember, and I said that they're welcome to, they're very happy to speak with him. It was a very nice discussion, and just, it continues, whatever, I don't know. Anyway,
I believe he was invited to a Board of Health meeting.
I'm not sure that's
Yeah,
true.
I think there was 2 that they were invited to, and they were no shows, if I remember correctly, but it was at least once, yes.
No other questions? I'll have a motion to approve the environmental engineers report. Who's-
Motion.
Motion by Mr.
Second.
Morris,
Sorry.
second by Ms. Sheehan. All in favor? Ms. Demore?
Aye.
Ms. Sheehan?
Aye.
Mr. McSweeney?
Aye.
And I vote aye, 400. Brings us to the Associate Director of Public Health. Is there something, Mr. Green, that you'd like to point out?
Yes, thank you. Good evening, Board. Just want to know we have Dr. Shamala Khan will be presenting on leading a multicultural human services organization tomorrow evening from 6 to 7. We're really hoping that a lot of our kind of leadership in the Burlington Volunteer Reserve Corps would be willing to attend that one. So that should be a good training, 6 to 7 in the Murray Kelly.
Thank you. I will be there. I attend those. Any other questions for Mr. McGreen?
Not from me.
I have one question about Dr. David Schwartz, quarterly meeting presentation. What is he going to be speaking on?
Actually, he spoke at our last quarterly meeting.
He did. I
He
did
yeah,
not,
he did,
I was not there.
Pet preparedness.
Oh, pet preparedness, yes.
sheltering,
Yes, I remember now. He's a veterinarian. Yes, I do remember now. Thank you.
Very good presentation.
Good. I have no other questions. I have a motion to approve the Associate Director of Public Health?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion by Ms. Sheehan, second by Ms. Demore. All in favor, Ms. Demore?
Aye.
Ms. Sheehan?
Aye.
Mr. McSweeney?
Aye.
And I vote aye, 400, which now takes us to Director of Public Health, which will include the health agent's report. We do not have a report from the Associate Health Inspector. She has been out.
She's been out.
She has been out, so it does include the health agent's report. Would you like to point out some things, please?
Well, one thing I was gonna point out is next Wednesday, I don't know, this is not on the health agent's report.
Sure it is, January 17th.
Yep, that's the Civic Expo, Burlington's first Civic Expo from 5 to 7 p.m. at the Murray Kelly Room. So the Board of Health will be there. We're gonna have 3 tables. They asked us to do flu vaccinations and blood pressures, so we're gonna have Board of Health table with information on the board itself, and then we'll have another table on information on the Medical Reserve Corps, and then our third table will be flu vaccine and blood pressures for anybody who wants them.
Thank you. And I've been asked to come, as well as all the other board members, so please, if you can possibly be there, join me from 5 to 7 on January the 17th.
Or if you have any ideas or information on things that you would like to add to the table, just let me know.
I have asked that we have the brochures for the Board of Health at the table, and anything else that we have on our tables at the Human Resources Center to bring that along, and we can put them out there too. It would be very nice. This is a program which is the town of Burlington in conjunction with the Burlington Buzz. I think it's the two together, so please support them. Is there any other questions for either the health agent's report or the Director of Public Health? Let's do health agents first, report first. Is there anything in Marlene's report first? Okay, we'll go on to the Director, Susan Luminella's report, if there's anything that you'd like her to speak on.
The vaccine for children program is still continuing, so we have a clinic coming up January 22nd, and then we have another one scheduled for February 26th, I believe. So, and right now, we have over 30 kids scheduled for January, so we're continuing with those clinics. And I expect that'll go through the whole year.
I had a discussion with Ms. Monaco. They did discuss it at the school committee meeting, and they were in gratitude to the Board of Health at all that we've done to vaccinate the new children in our community. And as I have said, I am in full favor that we've got to keep our kids well. If there's nothing else, do I have a motion to approve the Director of Public Health report?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion by Ms. Sheehan, second by Ms. Demore. All in favor, Ms. Demore? Ms. Sheehan?
Aye.
Mr. McSweeney?
Aye.
And I vote aye. That's 4-0-0. Before we adjourn, I want to thank a couple people. I really want to thank Ms. Falkingham for your minutes. Thank you very much. And I also want to say, please wish Mary Beth Welch. She is ill this evening and she could not make it. We wish her good health and have her come to the next meeting. With that, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
I have motion adjourned by Ms. Sheehan, second by
Second.
Ms. Demore. All in favor, Ms. Demore?
Aye.
Andrew Sheehan?
Aye.
David McSweeney?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Good night, everybody.